If your board's frustrated with your property manager, that frustration is probably legitimate, but if you move forward without doing a few things first, you may trade that one set of problems for a different and potentially worse set. Here's what we've learned working with boards who've been through this. Most boards don't have a written performance standard for their management company, and without one, a termination decision becomes about how people feel rather than what the contract requires. That's a problem. Not because the feelings are wrong, but because we're unhappy isn't a legal basis for early termination, and it's not a compelling case to present to your membership either. What we've seen is that boards who are dissatisfied have usually identified real failures, financial reports that don't arrive on time, vendors that aren't tracked, deferred maintenance that doesn't get escalated. Those are documentable. The issue is that documentation hasn't happened. Without a paper trail, what you have is the he said, she said situation, and management companies know how to play that game better than most boards do. Before you take action, you need to establish in writing what your standards are, what has fallen short and when. That record protects you legally and operationally, regardless of what you decide next. Boards routinely underestimate what a management transition costs, not in dollars, although there are real costs there, but in time, information loss, and operational disruption. And most of that cost is invisible until it lands on you. Here's what we've seen happen. A board terminates its management company and discovers that the records that were supposed to be kept weren't, or weren't kept in a usable format. Owner contact databases that are incomplete, vendor contracts are missing, reserve account histories have gaps. The management company that's leaving has no incentive to make that handoff clean, and the contract often doesn't require them to. There's also a timing dimension most boards don't account for. Termination clauses, budget cycles, annual meeting schedules, they all affect when a transition can actually happen cleanly. A board that pulls the trigger at the wrong moment in its fiscal year can find itself in a contract gap heading into the budget season. These aren't reasons not to make a change, they're reasons to make one carefully. Most boards approach the management company interview as a comparison shopping exercise. You talk to 3 companies, you compare fee structures, and you go with the one that feels best. The problem is that what you learn in an interview is almost entirely marketing. What you don't learn is how that company handles the specific situations your community faces. Reserve shortfalls, delinquency patterns, difficult vendor relationships, enforcement disputes. You don't learn how their accounting structure integrates with the state-required reporting your documents may call for. And you almost certainly don't learn what their actual transition process looks like, how they take over records, how they communicate with residents during the changeover, and what happens during the first 90 days. We've stepped into communities where the prior transition was handled well and communities where it wasn't. The difference in where those associations were operationally, sometimes years later, is significant. Making a management change is one of the highest stakes decisions a board makes. Done well, it resets the community. Done without the right groundwork, it can cost the association more than the original problem did. If your board is at that crossroads right now, we'd welcome a conversation. Not a sales call, a real conversation about where things stand, what your options are, and what the process actually looks like. That's what we do. At Managemax, we know that effective community management is built on transparency and systematic excellence. We provide full-service HOA and condominium management across Southeast Michigan, handling everything from accurate financial reporting to proactive maintenance. Our goal is to reduce the burden on your board while protecting your property values. If you're looking for a partner who values accountability as much as you do, visit us at managemaxproperties.com. Let's build a stronger community together.